This was the first problem 12 months after I started to have a leak here.
You can see yellow is normal, and the darkened areas, it's wet. So at this stage, I would suggest it's all water residue that's coming from the balcony. So this will have to actually be removed as well.
And yes, it's off the scale. So really high moisture content in the treated pine timber. We wouldn't expect timber that's inside an enclosed area to be excessively damp. So that's another indication of the water damage that's occurring.
Well, more or less a nightmare, a legal nightmare. I mean, myself and our neighbors, we had no idea what we were doing. Fortunately, we got the right legal advice, and we went through the VCAT and other things, and we found out through the insurance that the builder had to be either deceased, missing, or bankrupt, so we had to bankrupt him. And thanks to Jim's building inspections, we were able to get an inspection and get an itemized list of every single one of the defects and how much it would cost. And so he took that to VCAT and got that ruling in our favor. So yeah, it's been a big, long process, but we're finally to the point where you can hear in the background, we got stuff is happening, repairs are started. Oh, well, I mean, it was all beyond me. All these building terms I didn't understand, but Phil and the gang, they all went through and they itemized, defect by defect, both sides. We have the leaky balconies on this side, other side with leaks and everything. And so he went through and got all it with all the terms that I don't know. And so when you're in over your head and you don't really know you just know it's wrong because there's leaks, but you don't know where it's coming from. It's good to have people that are experienced, know what they're doing, and are able to tell you what's going on. No, I didn't see any need. Why would I get building inspection when it's a brand new build? I mean, in order for it to be there, I'm assuming it all had to be up to code and pass inspections and all that. And then to find out there's all these defects. I mean, it's just riddled with defects. How is that even possible?
Unfortunately, it's far too common. People purchase a property believing a builder's done a good job. They buy it in good faith, and then they find out problems start to emerge. Often those problems are small things. The builder might react by sending out a trade to do a bit of silicon work, for example, put a patch on it. Too often it's because they didn't get it right in the first place, and those underlying issues just keep bubbling up until it becomes fairly catastrophic, and that's when we get the call. It's a very scary thing, and unfortunately the industry's got flaws. We rely on builders to do the right thing. We believe they've got the skills and the competency. People take shortcuts. That might be the trades at the lower end, but it's the builder responsible for managing those trades. The Victorian Building Authority, they've got oversight, but they've got very little enforcement power. So we see problems reoccurring time and time again. In this instance, not only did the builder get this wrong, but he's done it multiple times at other locations, which is really disappointing to know. And the issue of insurance, I mean, the insurance provision, if a builder goes broke, it's capped. You can only claim up to a limit of $300,000. To fix this work, it's going to exceed that, well and truly. The chances of reoccurring problems or problems that haven't even surfaced yet, they're very real issues that concern the owner. And now we're in a situation where we're trying to get it right, with a cap and a limit of $300,000 that won't cover it. It's huge. So getting it checked out in the early stages can help prevent that from even becoming a problem. Most importantly, if you're getting a house built, get it stage inspected all the way through the build. Get a professional to come out, check it out, and make sure it's right, and that's what we do at Jim's.
And that's what I know now. Well, all 7 of the townhouses are all getting repairs. They all had defects of some extent. And so finally, with the builder bankrupt, we were able to get the insurance to kick in. And now, as you hear, the repairs are started. And the thing is, they're digging in and they're finding more and more defects underneath the defects. But thankfully, it's all starting to get repaired and hopefully a great outcome. And we'll see what happens.
So what we want to capture here is basically, we're taking the plaster off. You can see the moisture that's coming in, the staining, the timber decay that's developing. This is hidden normally behind the plaster. We can't see that. What we can see is a bit of dampness on the plaster and then a bit of mould. And that's what we originally started looking at. So now that the demolition works have started, the builders come in, they're taking the plaster off. on the surface, they're removing the tiles. They'll have to replace this cement sheet product as well, which is a substrate. That'll all have to be taken out if we're going to do this job properly. So over here we can see the staining that's been occurring with moisture getting through, and the impact it's had on the timber where these major structural elements have been compromised. Now that that's been exposed, an engineer has to come out and do an assessment, recalculate what's happening and determine if that timber will also have to come out. And if that happens, there could be extensive rework, which means taking the balcony right back to absolute zero and rebuilding it again. And that's far greater than we ever anticipated. So out here on the balcony, which is where we first started looking at it, we can see there's water ponding. We can also see this mark here. That's called efflorescence, and that's an indication that the moisture is getting under the tiles and it's causing a reaction, a chemical salt reaction that's bubbling up. All this will be stripped off. The balustrade will have to go. This is going to be taken right back to the frame and then rebuilt and completely re-waterproofed and re-tiled. We can see over here, for example, more areas where there's been failure just along these edges. This drain height here, it's inadequate. It should be lower. There's just areas here which have just been done completely wrong, and now that the new builder is here doing the rectification works under the insurance, all this will be put back together, and hopefully we'll check it and check the waterproofing during the reconstruction phase. So at the moment, the work's down the other end of these developments. There's 7 units here, 7, 8?
Yep, 7.
7 units here that are being pulled apart, starting at the other end, taking out the tiling now, and they'll work their way through systematically. Getting this stuff right is really important. Waterproofing issues and failures of decks and bathrooms lead to nearly 70% of all claims that go through VCAT. It's frustrating and it's a very critical area to get right. Waterproofing systems vary greatly depending on their application, the type of compounds used. It has to be checked by a competent expert. A lot of people that install the waterproofing sign it off and self-manage it. Well, if you're signing off your own mistakes and saying it's all good, you can see how that could fail. So having an expert come through that's qualified to assess it makes a huge difference. We look at it constantly and we tend to push back and fail it more often than not. Pinholes, small blemishes, where collars aren't sealed properly, they're just areas where things will fail and the smallest drip becomes the biggest issue. To do a bathroom, $15,000, $20,000. To do a balcony like this, it can run out to hundreds of thousands of dollars. So getting an inspection done for a very small amount of money makes a lot of good sense.
About a year ago, I got a phone call from my wife while I'm at work, and I'm hearing in the background gushing water, and she says, there's a leak. And I said, please tell me you're outside, because I'm picturing my living room with all this water. Fortunately, it was outside. That thing, whatever it's called, Phil, what's it called?
Yeah, that's a weir box.
Yeah, what he said. And that fell off. I mean, fortunately, it didn't hit anybody. And that came down, and of course, now, ever since then, it's just streaming water down. You can take a shower out here if you want. But that's the kind of stuff. Apparently, it wasn't attached properly, obviously. So that's yet another thing that will be repaired. But that's a glaring example of a defect.
And just to give you an idea, that weir box, it should sit up around the outlet for the box gutter. That's been attached onto foam cladding, and they've used the incorrect fixings, the wrong screws. It's just pulled out. So right through the whole building approach, the building system, if you don't follow the manufacturer's recommendations on how to do things, they do fail. Recognising those things during construction, that takes a skilled person to assess that. Again, that's what we can do for you. There's quite a few things involved in a VCAT expert witness report. It's not just the document. The initial instructions come from the client. We have to go out and do a site investigation. Often that means multiple trips to site. We might need to do an invasive inspection where we'll have to cut through material. Getting in to see exactly what's going on behind that plaster is important. When you go into a courtroom setting, you have to have documented proof. You can't just substantiate something by saying, oh, I believe it might be. It's got to be done by an expert who's qualified and knows how to perform and produce the evidence. Winning any matter in court comes down to evidence-based and the judge's assessment. So the judge determines based on how the information comes across, and that's the skill of VCAT expert. When it comes to doing an inspection, going backwards and forwards multiple times, it doesn't just stop there. Clients need help. They don't work in this normal realm. We have to go backwards and forwards, and we have to explain things, step them through the processes. Sometimes it's advice. It might be, where do you go to get legal advice? We're not legal practitioners, so we recommend a lawyer. We're not engineers. We can recommend an engineer. We can point people in the right direction to help them through a very challenging journey.
Speaking about recommendations, we had all kinds of problems getting insurance. I don't know if we ever talked about that, because here we're getting proof that we had defects, but then our insurer didn't want to insure us because we have defects. So it was like a catch-22. And Phil, you recommended some people to come over and help, and they recommended some insurance, and that really was, a godsend.
It's no surprise that insurance companies don't want to give money away. They're a business that takes money off you when it comes to payouts. They want to make sure they're covering their risk. That's understandable, but it makes it very hard for a person in a situation that's already got issues. They know there's problems there, but they still have to have insurance coverage, and making sure going forward they're protected, that comes at a cost as well.